Hi and welcome to Fat Belly Mark's shed where dreams come true. Today's project is to repair this shower waste outlet. The plastic chrome plating is coming off and to replace the outlet would mean taking the whole floor up. So I'm going to make a chrome cover to make it look smart again and therefore allow the existing outlet to still be used. To start off, I drew the parts in Artcam and then produced the toolpaths required to cut the parts out. The material used was 12mm white Corian and the chrome finish was provided by Automotive vinyl wrap. The first toolpath is going to be to cut out the segments. We're using the 2D area clearance toolpath, and from the top select your vectors. Start depth is 0, finish depth is going to be 11.5. Add a tool from the tool list and it's going to be a 3.175 N mil. As we want to cut out the centres of the segments, we're going to use an offset which will cut from the centre outwards. And we're going to add a ramping move to stop the tool from plunging straight into the material. Then we set up the material thickness, which is 12mm. Give the toolpath a name and calculate. The toolpaths are now shown in the drawing. The next toolpath is a profile cut, which is going to cut the outside of the plug rough. So starting from the top again, we want the cutting to be on the outside of the vector, and we select the vector, which is there, and we want to make an allowance of 0.3mm to be left on the outside. Start depth is going to be 0 and the finish depth is going to be 10 this time. Select the tool and it's going to be a 3.175 N mil again, and we want to add a ramping move again. We don't have to select the thickness because it's already selected, and give the file a name which is outside rough and calculate. The toolpath now is being shown on the outside of the vector. The next toolpath is to cut the hole in the centre, and we're going to use a 2D area clearance toolpath. So starting from the top again, select the vector, start depth 0, finish depth 11.5, add the tool which is 3.75 N mil again. As it's a circle, we wanted to cut out an offset starting from the inside out and add ramping moves. Give the toolpath a name and calculate. The toolpath is now shown in the centre of the circle. Next we want to cut out the outside of the plug, and we're going to use a profiling toolpath again. This will fit in a rebate in the second part of the project. So select the vectors, want it to cut on the outside of the vector, and restart depth is 0, finish depth 11.5, tool, select the tool, 3.175 again, add the ramping moves, and give the toolpath a name. The toolpath is now shown on the drawing. The final toolpath is another profiling toolpath that is going to take out the tolerance left behind on the previous outside rough toolpath. So again, we want to cut on the outside of the selected vector. Select the vector, and we want the finish depth this time to be 5. Select the tool. This time we're going to be using a 1.5mm end mill. Add ramping moves. Give the file a name and then calculate. The toolpath is then shown on the outside of the vector. This is what it'll look like when it's been cut out. Now it's time to cut out the plug on the CNC machine. I'm now cutting out slots so the water will drain from the shower through the plug. And here's the finished item, and it looks pretty good. The second part of the project is a dome-shaped circle which will completely cover the chrome part of the drain hole. To cut this out we require two tool paths, one to cut out the outside circle and the other to cut out the 3D domed part. To cut out the dome shape we're going to use a machine relief toolpath. This consists of a finishing and a roughing toolpath. So to start off with we're going to cut out the whole relief and select our finishing tool. The finishing tool is going to be a 3.5mm bull nose end mill. And the roughing is going to be a 3.75mm end mill, flat end mill. And we're going to add ramping moves and then calculate. The toolpaths are shown in the drawing. Here, the rebate on the back side of the dome part is being cut out. The part is now being turned over. And now for the roughing of the dome. Now with the roughing complete, it's time to do the finishing on the dome, and then the final cutout. This is my first time at vinyl wrapping and I think it went alright. The two finished parts and fitted. Why don't you take a look at some of my other videos? Take your time and enjoy some fun in the shed. If you haven't already done this, please subscribe and thanks for watching. This video was brought to you by Fat Belly Mark Shed.